Facebook.com/DZRJ810AM or on YouTube, channel RJAM News.
Hello, Philippines, and welcome to the World News Jam right here on DZRJ and RJTV. My name is Eric Lecain, and I am joined, as always, with Lolly Tolentino, talking about stories going on around the world. Now, don't forget to watch us on YouTube. Subscribe to us there at RJAM News. Now, Lolly Tolentino, what happened to you this week?
Wow. Great question. What happened to me this week? I got vaccinated.
I knew that. That's why I asked that question. So you got vaccinated with the Chinese Sinovac vaccine?
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And do you have to get one vaccine or two vaccines?
Well, it has to be two. So I'll be getting the next one on May 12th.
Okay. And after you got your first vaccine, how, Lolly Tolentino, did you feel?
You know what? After my vaccination, I got really, really hungry. That's all I can say.
Hungry. I have not heard that side effect yet to the vaccine. As you know, basically that would mean that I'm having vaccines all the time because I am always hungry. But
you know what? I mean, overall, I interviewed a lot of friends who got also vaccinated with the Sinovac. Man, we always have the same problem. We got hungry after that. No, it's just an exaggeration. But you know what? We all feel good, you know, as if nothing happened, as if I just had my pneumonia shot. That's all I feel.
Okay.
And I'm now, on how many days now? I'm still alive.
Yeah. So, yeah, well, okay. All right. So that's the best thing, is that you're still alive. But many people don't really complain so much until after the second shot. But, you know, the Sinovac shot is not exactly the same as some of the other shots, the Pfizer shot or the Moderna shot, where they actually give you a virus. This is some of the viruses, the vaccines work in different technologies. So, yeah, I could see how maybe, because everybody I know that got the Pfizer shot, they all felt sick after they got it. But it went away after like a day.
Mm-hmm.
So, but...
well, I think it depends on this. Yeah, it depends on the condition of the person. I guess, because some people who has a pre-existing condition, I think they might feel something. But if you are kind of healthy, just like anybody else, just like me. I didn't feel anything. I did not even feel the needle. I thought it's not over yet, and I asked the nurse. I said, "Are we done?" And she said, "Yes, ma'am. We're done. You're good to go." So,
wow, the good patient.
Yeah. Yes.
So. But anyway, so now that you've had this, when you were at the place and you had to get your vaccine, how was the situation there? Was there a long line you had to wait in? Did you have to pay a lot of money? What was the whole surrounding the situation went through that day?
Okay, first, it was at Makati Medical Center. Okay, so. In Makati, you have first to register online, and they text you and send you the confirmation. Where are you going? When are you going? And that's what happened at the beginning. So when it was my time, and it was like, my time is 8:10 in the morning, exactly. So 7:30, I already line up at Makati Medical Center. And I see people. It's not really a long line because, you know, it's very orderly. It's very organized, to put it, you know, nicely. Very organized. You know, they have a lot of doctors, nurses, people from Makati City Hall, and all these people. We are well attended by the frontliners.
Was there a lot of people there?
Really.
Was there a lot of people there to get the shot?
Yeah. I don't know how many are scheduled on that day, but because the auditorium of Makati Med is pretty big, so you will not even get close to anybody because you have like 1 meter apart from your seat because everybody should be seated. No one is standing. We're all seated.
Okay.
It was very organized.
Okay. All right. Well, that's good to know. Well, I'm sure that we're going to get to more about this later on the show. Let's go ahead and pick up with the viewer mail this week, the questions that people have sent in who are watching our show, things that they are interested in that are going on around the world, and we will do our best to answer these questions, and we will get more information out of Lolly to do with her vaccine as we get more into the vaccine during the show, because I'm sure somebody's going to be asking me about the vaccine today. So anyway, let's get going here. What is our first question?
Okay, the very first question we have for today is from Maris of Quezon City. What do you think of the incident of Dr. Fauci fires back Representative Jim Jordan, who to me has no respect for the man who worked hard and dedicated his life working as a scientist and helped America for so many years? Is that right behavior of a lawmaker?
Okay, just so everybody knows that, yeah, Jim Jordan was on a YouTube video that went kind of viral where he had to question Dr. Fauci. You know, we talked about this on the show before. These guys have been trying to discredit Fauci from the beginning. You know, back when Donald Trump realized that Fauci was quickly becoming more popular than he was, and people were listening to Fauci and not listening to Trump. Trump went on the attack, tried everything he could do to discredit Fauci because he was going against what Trump was saying. You know, Trump was dealing in things that weren't exactly facts and not exactly reality, and the problem was that Fauci was. And eventually, Dr. Fauci did the best he could to hold back and, you know, not go straight up against the president, and then eventually said, oh no, the president is saying the wrong thing. He doesn't know what he's talking about. And since then, you know, we talked about this a couple weeks ago with RuPaul. RuPaul tried the same thing. He tried to get in front of the Senate hearing and go after Fauci and see what he could do, and he ended up looking foolish because Dr. Fauci has the facts and he's a pretty good speaker. And so Jim Jordan, you know, went after him today. And the problem with these guys, here's what I think, is the U.S. was doing the worst, without question. I mean, Trump was saying that the virus was brought about to ruin his presidency. That was the reason that the media was talking about the virus, and that it was just to ruin him. And it's all fake news. And then 500,000 people died. So it turned out to be not fake news. And then now they got Trump out, and now the United States is doing the best of any country. They're doing extremely well. They plan to have 70% of the population vaccinated by June, which is the number that you need to get herd immunity. So now these guys have a lot of egg on their face. They've supported Trump through this whole thing, and they've said the virus, you know, is not anywhere near as bad as we think it is. And now it turned out it was really bad, and a lot of people died. And now there's a new administration in there, and now it's going well. And they're trying everything they can do to discredit Fauci and discredit the new administration. And it's just, unfortunately, it's just not working. If you saw that YouTube video, now I've seen it like 10 times, and Jim Jordan tried everything he could do to you know, when is it all going to end? When are our liberties going to come back? You know, you've taken our liberties away, Dr. Fauci. You know, we have the right not to wear a mask if we don't want to wear a mask. And, you know, it's that same stupid argument. I mean, you can't smoke a cigarette. For the reason is other people will breathe in your smoke. You can't drive at night without headlights. You know, we're not a free society. You can't do anything you want, especially if it comes to hurting other people. And so they keep pounding and pounding on this same subject. It's like, you're taking away our liberties, and it's your fault, Fauci, that we can't have our business. You know, we can't go to church because of you, Dr. Fauci. And Dr. Fauci's like, you know, churches are where this whole thing started. I mean, the churches were the first places that really were the super spreader events. And so it's not like we're trying to stop you from having your religion. We're trying to keep you from dying. And, you know, most people get it.
Yeah. Well, that's why we're even here. We're trying to avoid a gathering, because that's really super spreader. What's wrong with this guy, Jordan? Thank God I wasn't there at the hearing. So.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, he does this all the time. He just talks really loud and he talks over people. And that's his thing. And he's been doing this, forever. And he was one of the biggest Trump supporters. And he came out just this past week and was just yelling and yelling about how Dr. Fauci, it's his fault that we have lost our liberties. And when are we going to get it back? Why can't you answer that question, Dr. Fauci? When are we going to get our liberties back? When are we going to be a free society again? And, I just sit back and I want to say to him, listen, if we were a free society, I would have killed the cashier at the grocery store who couldn't get the credit card machine to work. I mean, we can't do anything we want to do. And this is one of those issues where, Dr. Fauci is just, and he kept saying this over and over, I'm just giving my recommendations. These are my recommendations. My recommendations are we should wear a mask and we should social distance and we shouldn't have gatherings. I mean, just common sense stuff. And so, these guys are going to continue to keep doing this and they're going to continue to look foolish.
Well, maybe he just wants to win again the election. So let's see what happens later on.
Yeah, let's see how that works. See how that goes for you, Jim Jordan.
All right, then we go to Robert of Manila. Ted Cruz seems not to respect other Americans by simply not wearing masks because he claimed to be vaccinated. Is that fair to others? And what does it say to his constituent? Bad or good?
Yeah, here's another one. Ted Cruz. He's a guy out of Texas. First of all, Ted Cruz said he won't wear a mask because he's been vaccinated. He says, I don't need to wear a mask because I've been vaccinated and everybody in the Senate's been vaccinated. That's not true. RuPaul won't get vaccinated. I can't remember, some of the other senators, Ron Johnson, he won't get vaccinated. He said, well, we already had the virus. We don't need to get vaccinated. So obviously these guys don't watch the news. And he went out, what they don't seem to get, and he kept saying, well, the CDC says it's okay that we don't wear a mask after you get vaccinated. No, that's not what the CDC said at all. No. There are variants out there, and we have talked about the variants, and they are spreading throughout the United States right now. And, these vaccines, they're not 100%. They're 90 and 70 and 50, yeah. And who knows what effectiveness they're going to have against these new variants. We'll get to the variants later, but to say, well, once I get the vaccine, then I don't need to wear a mask and I can go do anything I want. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're not going to get the virus. It means that it's not going to show symptoms in your body, but it's not to say that you're not going to give it to your grandmother. And so, right. If you have two people that are vaccinated, the chances of you not wearing a mask and giving it to each other or giving it to somebody are very slim now. But not to say that you shouldn't wear a mask at all. And the reason that a lot of people jumped on this so much is because Ted Cruz says, well, the whole Senate is basically vaccinated. And they're not. They're not. There's 25% of them that are not, and mostly Republicans.
That's the sad part. It's the Republican who doesn't want to be vaccinated. So, in fact, in my opinion, they were the one who created all this chaos in America. All right.
I don't disagree.
Let's go to Nelson of Ermita. Do you think Biden's decision to withdraw the troops in Afghanistan is the most practical to do? If so, why?
Now, yeah, this is one of the biggest stories of the week. I was hoping somebody was going to ask this question. President Biden has decided to withdraw from the war in Afghanistan. Now, the war in Afghanistan has been going on for 20 years. Most people don't even know it's a war. Most people don't even think of it as a war because it kind of went out of the media. People don't really focus on it that much anymore because it's just gone on for so long and there's no end. There's no, okay, this is the goal. What goal? There's no goal. They're not going to get rid of the Taliban. They're not going to put the Afghans in government and they're going to stay, as leaders without somebody overthrowing them. So it's one of those, there's no way to win this war unless you take over Afghanistan. And what would be the point in that? So, the question is, what happens when the U.S. forces leave? it's one of the most volatile countries in the world. Who's going to be the leader of Afghanistan after the U.S. leave? Is it going to be the Taliban? Is it going to be the Afghans? How are they going to share power? They hate each other. They've been fighting each other for 1,000 years. I mean, and if they leave, does this open the door for terrorist organizations? Are they going to start up again? Because that's where they go. That's where they flock to. That's the reason the U.S. went there. And, after 9/11, they went and started this, and got into this war with them because of what happened at 9/11. And where has it gotten the United States? Well, a lot of American soldiers have died. A lot of, innocent Afghanis have died. And what about the drug trade in Afghanistan? I mean, once they leave, it's going to explode again. And I just wonder, the rights of women, all these, there's a whole bunch of issues that, it's a good thing that the U.S. is there for. But I guess what you're saying is the United States can't stay forever. It's either they do what the U.S., is known for doing, which is coming in and taking over a country, or they just let the Afghanistans just have it back. And if they leave the Afghans in charge of the government, you know how long that's going to last before they're overthrown? The Taliban, let me just say really quick, before the U.S. came in, the Taliban had this much property. And now that the U.S. has been there, they now have this much property. And the Afghans started out with this much property, and now they have this much. So that's how much land that they control now. So, I don't know what kind of deal that they're making with the Taliban, but I guarantee you when the United States leaves, I think it's going to become much worse.
Yeah. Well, it's their own, they really have to resolve their own problem because, like anybody says, America cannot stay there forever. That's why I think the withdrawal will be September 11th. I think it's the anniversary, right?
Yeah.
20 years.
Yeah. They're going to put it right on September 11th.
Yeah, that's good numbers. I mean,
and, let me ask you this: is between now and then, what if something really, really bad happens? Like something really bad. I mean, is that going to delay it? Are they going to come out? It's just one of those things. I can see that happening when they see that the United States is leaving. Oh man, this is a really good way to stick it to the U.S. And so all these warlords that are just waiting for them to move out, as soon as they move out, those warlords are going to move right back in.
Yeah, I know. I think they're going to make their own drama. So at least the U.S. might reconsider staying, but we don't know. Well, we'll see what happens. Today is April.
I'm not disagreeing with them. I mean, the United States has spent $2 trillion on this war, and what do they have for it? Anything? Can you think what they have for it? I don't know. I don't know what they got out of it. I mean, what they did was they did stop a lot of terrorist organizations from building, but those terrorist organizations are still there. They're just hiding in those caves, like deep down in the ground. And then, they're just waiting for, the lights to come out and then the lights to go off and then the roaches all come back out again. So, this is a decision I think that has to be made, but is it the right decision? There's no way of knowing until they're gone. And then we wait to see. And I guarantee, now we can say it right here on this show, if they put the Afghans in charge of the government, I bet you anything, first thing, corruption will just, it'll spread around that country like crazy. And then in the end, the Taliban will take over. And you know how the Taliban, they run things with religion. And so if you say something against, their religion, then you can lose your head. So.
Well, that's very tough. I mean, but they have to really take care of their own country. They have to do something. Well, they should have probably or get a good leader to run the country. Whatever.
Yeah. Who is that?
Yeah. Anyway, let's go to Ging of Mandaluyong. What are you learning about Johnson & Johnson vaccine and AstraZeneca?
Well, okay, first of all, I've been waiting like all week to say this word, central venous sinus thrombosis. That's what the vein that carries blood to the brain. I think I'm not a medicine person, but the Johnson & Johnson, this week the information came out that there's a blood clot. It causes a blood clot in that spot. And, you know, they have drugs blood thinners that they give you and it fixes it, but it does cause a blood clot in that place. AstraZeneca, as we talked about on the show last week, has active specific platelets, and they supposedly create clots as well. You know, these vaccines create blood clots, and blood clots can lead to death. So, but let's take a look at how many people got a blood clot. First thing, there are side effects with every vaccine. With polio, smallpox, measles, everything has a side effect to somebody. And they found that, you know, Johnson & Johnson had this side effect, and it happened to 6 people. 6 people got a blood clot out of 6 million. So you got a 1 in a million shot at getting a blood clot. Now, like I said, they have medicine that you can take if you get a blood clot. Now, the same thing happened with, and by the way, the people that are getting these blood clots are women between 18 and 48. So AstraZeneca had 182 cases of blood clots from giving their vaccine out of 190 million doses.
Okay, so it's a very small. Well, of course, you know, some people would disagree. Like, you know, you don't say that with, you know, even though it's a small amount of, you know, who got the blood clotting thing. So still not good. But then, you know, because everybody, all of us has a different system. So, or maybe the person has a pre-existing condition that the vaccine is not good for the person. So maybe that's, you know, that's how I look at it. I mean, not all people will be, you know, will have experience like that. And like how many millions and how many cases? Very, very small, actually.
Yeah, I can't remember what are the chances of being struck by lightning, but it's something like, you know, 1 in a million. What are the chances of winning the lottery? I mean, you know, we're at that level. And the fact that you know, that they would suspend a vaccine, what Australia says, we're not going to buy Johnson & Johnson now because of 6 people. 6 people got a blood clot. I wonder about who is making these decisions. And they have this issue in the Philippines now. They suspended, you know, AstraZeneca. You know, I think you have to look at the numbers. I think it's worth the risk because, first thing, if you get a blood clot, there are drugs to undo the blood clot.
Right.
So that, you know, that is my thinking. Now, Moderna and Pfizer, they don't have this same issue because they use a different technology. It's a different technology we've actually explained it on the show before about how it gives you a change in the virus itself and puts the virus in your body. That's why you feel a little sick after you get it. But it works a little different. And what about Sinovac? What are the side effects of Sinovac, which is what they're giving out now in the Philippines? And, you know, Sinovac, I mean, the reason I think that it's so popular in the Philippines is, 1, it's cheap. And 2, you can store it in, I think it's 8 degrees Celsius, which is much better than some of these other ones where you have to store them in super very, very cold places where Sinovac you don't need to. And of course, Sinovac is less effective. It's 50% less effective. But are there any major side effects with Sinovac? Not that I know of. Not that I've heard.
I have not heard of anything yet. I mean, it's, well, hopefully, you know, because it's only like 50.7 efficacy. And I think it's good enough as long as it's passed the standard of World Health Organization.
Well, here's the issue. Here's the issue with Sinovac is it wasn't meant for seniors. It was never meant for seniors. And now the Philippines is giving it to seniors. So the only problem I can see with this Sinovac is they give it to seniors and then seniors think, oh, I'm fine. I'm vaccinated. I don't need to wear a mask. I can go see my grandkids. I can do all this kind of thing. But it really wasn't meant for them. Now they have approved it for them because it's, what else are you going to, you know, it's better than nothing, right? So, and it doesn't seem to have any bad side effects. But here again, it's only 50% or 50.7% effective. and it was not originally meant to give to seniors.
Well, I think the vaccine expert here, they made a study that it can be given to the senior already. That's
Yeah,
why,
they approved it.
When they give a go signal,
Yeah.
I mean, in Makati alone, they open several locations. I mean, in the post villages. So that's why there's a lot of seniors already in Makati has been vaccinated.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, it wasn't originally meant for seniors, but they have approved it for seniors because there's nothing else to give them. So right now, that's it.
Yeah.
And, like I said, it doesn't seem to be hurting people, but we have to wait and see. We have to wait and see because right now, the Philippines is they're knocking on the door of a million cases. It's getting close. It's getting close to a million, isn't it?
We're going to have 1 million cases this week. They're expecting that because yesterday we have another over 11,000 cases.
Yeah, 15,000, almost 16,000 deaths, and a third of those are coming from Manila themselves. Now, I just like to point out that the United States has given the Philippines 170 million pesos to help with the vaccination effort. That's to add to the 1.3 billion that they've already given to help roll out the vaccine. So that is great news because this is the only way that I think that the Philippines is going to be able to slow this thing down is the more vaccines they can get out, whether it's Sinovac or AstraZeneca or Moderna, anything they can get, I think is going to help.
Yeah, actually, I think Filipinos are ready for anything. I saw the reaction of people before they're scared of vaccine, and now, I mean, everybody's jumping into to have their vaccination. So I said, well, that's a good news.
Yeah.
Let's spread it like fire. All right, let's go to Verhel of Quezon City. What is happening in America? Racism, killing of black and brown citizen. How many people got killed now? What do you think the government should do to stop this? All
right. Well, there's a couple of different things here. I'm trying to figure out. I'm assuming he's talking about police killing black people.
I think so.
Yeah, I'm assuming. Now, there's been a lot of killings this week. The last 2 weeks, there's been a lot of different. We'll get into a couple different ones, but the interesting thing is that in 2020. 241 black people were killed by police. 158 Hispanic people were killed by police. You know how many white people were killed by police? 457.
Oh.
So, now, so far in 2021, 20 Hispanics, 30 blacks, and 50 whites have been killed by police. Now, more white people commit crimes than black people do in the United States. There's more white people than there are black people. But, it's this whole thing about anytime a policeman shoots a black person now, because they have body cams now, those cameras are taking pictures of it and then they're showing it on the TV. Now, there was a shooting this week in which a white police officer killed a black man with a gun. Now, was this a racist? Did the policemen do this because they were racist? No, they didn't. I saw the film of it. I've seen it in different angles. I've heard the different opinions. I heard the voices on the thing. No, this was the reason that policeman killed that black person was just stupidity. It was a mistake, and it was a mistake on both sides. Just to recap it, they stopped a black guy. They took him out of the car. He had a warrant. He had a warrant for his arrest. So they turned him around. They're putting the cuffs on him, and he started to fight the police. Okay, first of all, don't fight the police. But anyway, he started to fight the police, and he jumped in his car. And so the police officer, who was white, pulled out her taser and yelled, "Taser, taser," because that warns everybody that she's going to shoot her taser, and she shot her taser at him. It was her gun, and she shot him. And right after she shot him, she goes, "I think I just shot him. Like with my gun." Like she made a mistake. She pulled the gun instead of pulling the taser because there was a lot of stuff going on at the same time. So yeah, it was just stupidity. I don't think it had anything to do with racism. Not to say that white police officers are not racist And what is the government going to do about that issue? Like, for instance, what's going on in court right now in the United States, which they rested this week. And so they will decide, if George Floyd was murdered or whether it was manslaughter or, what. That is a different case. There is that is a case where, you could bring racism into it. Or just a bad police officer. So, to say, there is no systemic racism in the United States within the police department would be untrue. But to say that there are more black people being killed by white police officers than is not true. There are actually more white people being killed by police than black people. And if you look back at 2019 and 2018, the percentages are almost the same.
Okay.
So now, just to reiterate about his question, the mass shootings in the United States, which is a big problem in the United States, mass shootings. Why is mass shootings a big problem in the United States? Because anybody can get a gun.
That's the problem.
That is a big problem. And we're crazy. We have a lot of crazy people in the U.S. But the mass shootings dropped in 2020 a lot. And the reason mass shootings dropped in the United States is because we have a pandemic. So pandemics are good for mass shootings, which is kind of weird and ironic in a bizarre way. But in 2021, mass shootings are back. And we have had 4 people get shot in a mass shooting this week. In Indianapolis, 8 people were shot and killed. 8 were killed in that Atlantic shooting. 10 people were killed in Colorado. 4 were killed in California. And that's this year. So mass shooting is when 4 more people get killed. And it's back. U.S. is back on track.
Wow. You know what? This is really, it's sad and scary at some point because, you don't know. What if you go out, all of a sudden you went to the grocery and you encountered this kind of shooting and, you become part of that shooting thing. I mean, you will, I don't know. That's not good.
What if you drop your kids off to school and you drive away? When you drive away, you're thinking, could this be the day that somebody comes into the school and starts shooting? Some crazy kid, who's mad at his girlfriend for dumping him and decides to shoot everybody.
Yeah.
It's so easy. The guy who the mass shooting that just happened, they were saying that he bought the gun the same day, and he bought it legally. And here again, and I know I get a lot of criticism for this, but I'm like, if you take the guns away, what are they going to kill people with?
Yeah. Right. So what is the solution here? I think that, maybe the government really has to do something. But again, Americans will always say, we have our freedom. We need to do it.
You're taking away our guns, our liberties. The Constitution says we can own a gun. But the Constitution was written in 1700.
Yeah, that's America. So that's why you have the problem.
Yeah. Okay, all right. This is what we should do. We should go back to the guns that we used in the 1700s, where you got to put powder in, then you got to put the ball in, then you got to put some more powder in, then you got to stick, and you got to stick it like this, and then you get one shot. And it's not a very good aim either. It's not a very good aim shot. So that's what if they're going to own guns, then okay, let's go back to when they did the Constitution, and that's what they meant, that we could have those kind of rifles.
Okay, I think I will vote for you. You better run as senator next time.
Put me in the Senate.
Make that proposal.
I want to bring back the musket.
The musket. What is that? Explain.
The musket, the old-timey rifles. The rifles that you made at home. Yeah, okay. Anyway.
All right, okay. Let's go to the next question. This is from Pastor Ed of Pasig. Do you think the Chinese aggressiveness in the West Philippine Sea is intended to pressure Duterte to finally abrogate the VFA, this is a Visiting Forces Agreement, with the U.S. government?
Well, as we know, recently, the Philippines and the U.S. moved the largest naval force into the Philippine Sea to challenge the militarization of China in that area. And what do you think happened when they did that? You know, it reminds me of there's like a little kid in a movie and there's a giant monster and the giant monster is coming closer and closer. And then all of a sudden the giant monster gets this scary look on his face and he turns around and runs away. And the little kid's like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And then you look behind the kid and you see the United States Naval Force. So, so that's what, that's sort of what I think happened, because that is what happened. Chinese ran away. They were like, they have been playing with fire for the last year, with their fishing vessels and running down these Filipino vessels, and then that chase that happened last week, where they chased that boat back to Palawan. So now the Philippines said, okay, all right, this is what we're going to do. We're going to get our buddies, the U.S., to come and back us up, and then we're going to come in and let's see what happens. And of course, China's not going to. They're not going to risk going to war with the United States. But the interesting thing is that, we all thought that the United States would back the Philippines, the VFA, if Chinese invaded the Philippines, that they knew that they were going to be there, and they said they would be there if that happened. Well, this is slightly different, because now this is the China, invaded the economic zone, which is not exactly the Philippines, and the U.S. jumped on that and decided to get involved. So now the United States is involved. And when I say they're involved, the Philippines sent 4 warships out there, the big warships that they have, but the U.S. sent an aircraft carrier. That's a major step, because those aircraft carriers, they don't come alone. They come with submarines, and they come with destroyers and cruisers and all kinds of things. I mean, even though China has the largest Navy right now, still they're not going to want to go up against that with what they had there, and so they turned and ran, and they had 200 plus ships, 220 ships in that area, and now as of this week they have 10.
I think even 6. I think they reduced that, but well, you know what? That's good. At least now we're feeling, that America is back to support us, and because there is the new administration, I think is more. I think they're more decisive on what they do. Especially, I think was it last week when, there's a secretary. Is it the Secretary of State who went to talk about this, that we are going to help the Philippines in case.
Yeah, Secretary of Defense, I believe. But yeah, the Philippines this week, for the first time in a long time, has said, you know what, we have the right to be here. Before they have been kind of sucking up to China, I got to say, and kind of like bending over and just taking it. And now this week, the Philippines showed a little bit of backbone and said, you know what, we have the right to build here. This is our place. And what's the name of that place, the Julian Felipe Reef, where they said, you know what, China needs to get out. They need to get out of this area. They're just they keep taking another inch and another inch and another inch, and finally the Philippines says, all right, that's enough. They drew a line in the ocean, if you can do that,
which is good.
And they because they can't do it themselves. And so the only way they're going to have any might or thing is to invoke the United States to back them up. And so far they have not done that, and they've been siding with China until, this week, a show of force. And I think it's a good thing. I think the Philippines needed to do that, or China would just, if China sees that you're weak, they'll take advantage of that for sure. And
I think the government's doing the right thing now, so which is good. Okay, continue doing that, because we don't need more Chinese in our sea.
Yeah,
because they will get our fish.
China always says, we want peace, but China wants peace if you do exactly what we say, and you do what we tell you to do. Then that's that. Okay, that's our peace. But that's not going to wash. And so I knew the United States was going to get involved in this. We predicted it a couple of weeks ago, that they were not going to allow this to happen. And so I think it's good that they are involved now.
Good. Okay, Pastor Ed, that's the answer. Or let's go to Lilia of Manila. If you will be asked by Philippine government, for an idea or suggestion to handle COVID-19 variant problems, what would you advise?
Oh, but
You,
goodness.
Eric Lecain, if you will be asked by the Philippine government.
Well, first thing, we got to start thinking about the variant in France. Did you read about this variant in France? There's the new French. And the French, they always have
Yeah.
to be involved in this somehow. So the French have a variant that you cannot detect it with the PCR test.
Yes.
And so this is what we're all afraid of, is there is a variant which you will get it, and then you will go get tested, and they will say, you're negative. And you say, I'm negative. I feel a little sick, but I'm negative. I can go, do my normal stuff. And you have the new variant all along. And then you're going to give it to somebody else, and then they're going to spread it all around. So this is one of the things that we knew was going to happen. If you have a virus, eventually immunity builds up through time. I mean, if you go back to the Middle Ages and you looked at what people died from then, people don't die from that anymore because we've built up an immune system and we're building up an immunity to this virus. However, viruses change. So all that immunity is out the window once this thing changes enough. Now, there are mutations in every virus. And some of the mutations, and this virus has already mutated like 100 times, but some of the mutations, they just die away, or they don't have very much effect or very much change in the virus. But it's those few mutations that do, that make it more contagious or make it more deadly. And that's what we have to worry about. And now we have a vaccine, and the vaccine is for the COVID-19. The problem is if the new variant has a way around the vaccine. And the answer to that is we don't know. We don't know if it does. So we spend all our time and all our money coming up with this vaccine. And by the time we get the vaccine out, there already might be a variant of the vaccine that is completely immune to the vaccine that is coming out. We don't know that yet. And it may be that the vaccine is only 40% effective against the new variant, or 30%, or the same. We just kind of have to wait and see. But one of the reasons that I think the cases are going up lately, especially in the Philippines, is it's getting mixed in with these new variants. These new variants are mixing in all over the place. And they've already been proven that they are much more contagious.
Yeah. So, what are we going to do? Right?
Yeah, okay. Here's what you do. I mean, if you don't want to get the virus or get the new variant of virus, you need to go home and get some cement blocks, and you need to cement up your door like all the way to the top and seal it off and put plastic on all your windows. And that is the only way to be sure that you're not going to get the new variant. So now there's going to be a run on cinder blocks now that everybody's going to run out and want to do that. But, that's not very conducive to most people. So, what is the answer to get around the variant? That really is the only way. Go hide in a cave, and then you won't get it because it's spread by other humans. So if you're around other humans, then you have a chance of getting it. If you walk into the mall, you may have on a mask and a face shield. And like I said, you may just touch the wrong thing, and then you have it. So, the only way to not get the variant is like I said, cement up your entire house so no one can get in. And B is to do what they tell you to do as much as you can.
Yeah. That's the only way. There's no, because since we don't know if with this new variant, the French, we're getting international. Really, there's South Africa, there is UK, Brazil. Now there's French. Of course, we have our own. But you know what? This is not good at all. We don't like the variants here in the Philippines.
No, but
no fun.
You can say you don't like the variants. I mean, I don't like COVID being here. I don't like traffic being here, but it's here. There's nothing I can do about it. I mean, all I can do is use Grab and Food Panda and wear my mask and my face shield, or not go out. And the unfortunate thing is an economy cannot run without going out. And I don't know what to say Except, the government guidelines in the Philippines are not bad. They're actually pretty good. And the fact that they have gotten people used to wearing face shields is good. But unfortunately, that's not the end all, and not everybody does it. So if some people are not going to do it, then you yourself have to do everything you can to make sure that you don't touch anything and that you don't breathe anything, or like as I was saying before, the only way to keep yourself from getting it is hold your breath for the rest of your life. Wear a scuba tank. There's so many stupid things I can think of, but this is the new life. This is the life we live now. And there's nothing we can do about it. This is what is. This is like if we all moved to Mars. If we all moved to Mars, you'd have to wear a mask because if you breathe the air, you would die. So, this is what we are now. We are living on a different planet.
All right, new planet. Oh, let's go to EVOPS at 1. I'm getting good news. The rich people in Makati are getting their vaccine and no hesitation, even though it's signed back. What does it says to you and other Filipinos? Makati also has a very organized setup in every location. Kudos to the leadership of Makati Mayor Abby Binay. Hope all.
All right.
I'm a witness to this.
So, the rich people are getting the vaccine, and it's great, and it's meaningless. Now, hold on. First of all, they are the less likely of the whole population to get the virus. You know that. They have lots of hand sanitizer. They have masks that match their purses, and I've seen those. They shop at beautiful, expensive, clean malls. They get tested, and they are so worried about getting sick.
See?
Yeah, so the rich people are in the lowest group for getting the virus. Even if there was no vaccine, that group is the least likely to get the virus in Manila. It's probably going to get sick overall. Okay. Now, let me just also say that the rich and the semi-rich make up how much of the population? 5%? Maybe 5%. Do you disagree? So let's look at the other 95%. Okay. They're the people that wear the exact same mask every day. They don't spend money on hand sanitizer. They shop at the local street market with everybody else. They aren't going to spend money on a test, and they aren't going to spend money on a vaccine. So let me just say, and they aren't worried about getting the virus. I think they're more worried about what's for dinner. So those people in that 95%, they don't believe in the virus as much as those people in the 5%. They don't watch TV. They don't have Sky Cable. They watch FB. They watch Facebook. That's where they get their news. So, all this, the rich people are running to get the vaccine. I mean, that's great and everything. But those aren't the people we need to be worried about. It's everybody else. That's where the cases are coming from. That's where the deaths are coming from. So, Abby is doing a great job. I mean, Abby's always done a really good job. Hey, Abby. She's always done a really great job at what she does as being mayor of Makati. I can't say anything. I can't criticize Abby in any way. But it's not Abby I'm worried about. It's the mayors of the other places. It's the mayors of the places, that don't have people like that live in Makati. And I think that's where the virus is starting to spread. And it's starting to spread a lot. And we don't know it. We don't know that it's spreading there because they don't get tested. Who's going to spend the money if you're, working out, doing a job where you're making, 500 pesos a day? Are you going to spend your money getting tested? I mean, I don't know. Maybe. So, like I said, it's good news. It's good news the rich people are getting their vaccine. But, I mean, I think the important thing is how we're going to get the vaccine into everybody else.
Okay. All right. Let me say my part in that. Okay. Why do you think they say that? Because People are thinking, and because the picture of that guy, the rich guy. I don't think I need to mention his name. It went viral on that day when he went to San Lorenzo to have his party. He
Yes,
lined up.
I know who you're talking about.
VIPs, nothing.
Yeah.
So now the idea there is that he earned a lot of respect to different people. This is the thing. It is a Filipino way of thinking. Like, look at him, a rich guy lining up to get a Sinovac. He can buy the most expensive vaccine if he wants to. But the thing is,
If he can get it.
who are we? We are nobody, and we are refusing to get the Sinovac. Okay? So here, bottom line here is the common people. If you have the chance to get that vaccine, Sinovac or whatever brand, take it. But because of different, misinformation coming from different sector, they will, some of them, they get demoralized, they get scared to get a vaccine. So that's why I even posted my own picture when I got vaccinated, because I want people to know. And that's why some of my friends follow. They put their pictures like, hey, I got vaccinated. And, this is the thing that we need to do in this country. Okay, for those people who can, because, the vaccine has been being offered. It was just started with the health workers, the frontliners, and now the senior citizen. But there's a lot of offers in every city, but some are, they refuse not to be vaccinated.
Let me ask you something. How much did it cost to get vaccinated?
I have no idea. Personally, I didn't pay.
Okay. Who paid?
The city government.
City government. Okay. All right. That's just something I wanted to make sure that people heard. Because I know a lot of people that won't get vaccinated because I don't have the money to get vaccinated. So I just, I wanted you to say how much it actually costs you to get vaccinated. But it's true what you're saying is that it's going to take a while to get people, to talk people into getting the vaccine. People that are scared because they read too much Facebook and they read
Yes.
that how dangerous it is and how you don't need it and how this whole virus is fake and it's made up and the only reason they're doing that is because they're making money off of it and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And how that so few people have died. And that is true, by the way. Actually, it's only been 15,000 people that have died in the whole country. And people say that that's all fake. That's, those people actually would have died anyway. Well, how are we going to know that for sure? But, it's 15,000, but it could be 150,000 or 1.5 million. It could be. What if you did nothing? Like what they did in the United States. What if everybody just walked around like in my state in North Carolina where everybody walked around without a mask on? And then, and we end up with, you end up with 500,000 or 600,000 dead or 30 million cases. So, here again, I understand what you're saying. I think that the Philippines needs a plan to get people who are a lesser financial level to get vaccinated. And I don't know what that plan is.
Yeah, I think a lot of people will be given a free vaccine. It just, we don't have it yet. They just prioritize who to give it first, like, frontliners, medical workers, and the seniors.
Mm-hmm.
And, every government, every city has their own, like, in Makati alone, I'm speaking for Makati because I know this for a fact. Mayor Binay got like a budget of 1 billion pesos for the vaccine. If you are a resident of Makati and if you work in Makati, as long as you have some attachment in Makati, you can get vaccinated, even if you're from Parañaque or from Manila, you can get it. So that's why he got it. But the thing is, the vaccine that we are using right now, this is the one that was given for free. Okay, so the one she ordered, it will be coming, I think, June, July, or something, because those are Pfizer.
Yeah.
And so whatever now is available, we're all taking advantage of whatever's available because the effect of the vaccine is just the same. Okay, efficacy may not be as high as the other one, but you know what? Like what some doctors explained to us also, because I heard some doctors explain to this. It's better to have something than nothing at all because we are not all safe from all virus that is spreading around.
Yes.
So I was so happy when I got a text that I will be scheduled for vaccination. So I hope people around us will just follow us.
Okay.
You know, those people who got vaccinated.
All right. We will
Yeah.
hope that is true.
Well, okay, let's see. Want a bet?
Think
All
about it.
right. Let's go now to Greg of Makati also. Okay, our economy is not in good shape. What do you think Filipinos should do? I think Filipinos should stop blaming the government. Instead, do your part as a citizen. Be part of the solution, not a problem.
All right. Yes, the economy in the Philippines is in free fall. They keep
Yeah.
doing ECQ and MECQ, and it doesn't really work. The vaccine is really slow to get here. They have no real distribution to the masses, which we just said. I mean, we may be in ECQ again in a few weeks. Inflation is bouncing all over the place. Who better to blame than the government? You know, when your sports team wins,
Yeah.
the players are hailed as great. But if your sport team loses, what do? You blame the coach. It's all the coach's fault. So,
Yeah.
so we blame everything on the government. It's just, the government spends so much time explaining how it's not their fault. And, sometimes it seems, we blame the government on bad traffic and bad pollution. And then we get in our big SUV and we go out and we drive on EDSA. So, the real question is, I guess what I would say here is, if you were the president, what would you do? Would you open up the city, watch 5% of the population die? Would you close down the city, watch people starve? I mean, either way you go, it's so easy to blame the government, isn't it? It's just, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but sometimes people just don't care. I mean, if you're walking down the street in Japan and you see a piece of garbage and you look back 10 minutes later, that garbage is not there. But if you walk down my street here in the Philippines and there's a piece of garbage and you come back 10 hours later, that garbage is still there. There's more garbage on top of it. You're going to have to change the way of thinking in the Philippines because, in recent history, in the last 20 years, there's been many chances where the Philippines could be better than they were. But they won't pick up the garbage. And like I said, I don't mean this in a bad way. And the pandemic is a real test to the Philippines. It's a test. It's a test to the government. And the government's made a lot of mistakes. Okay, yes. I mean, I could make a list of them. But it's a real test to its people. And, sometimes when you criticize something in the Philippines, they'll say, well, if you don't like it, you should just leave. Instead of saying, oh, you know what? You're right. How do we fix it? And this is one of those chances. This is one of those moments where the Philippines could come out of this. The U.S. was the worst in the pandemic. They were the worst. Mm-hmm. And now they're the best. And the Philippines could possibly be the worst. Their economy could possibly be the worst. Or they could turn it around. And they could figure out a way to work together to find a way. You're not going to beat we're going to beat the virus. You're not going to beat the virus. But you're going to have to find a workaround. And the only way to work around it is people are going to have to pick up the garbage. They're going to have to look at the street and they're going to have pride in their street.
Yeah. Well, and, those are the easy things to do. I mean, as an example, picking up the garbage, it's so easy to do. And why can't we do it? Right. And if all of us will just do whatever's, whatever we can, and not to blame the government because, nobody picks up the garbage, why it's so stinky, whatever. We can do our part as a citizen. All right. What is our government telling us for the last, they complain it's more than a year now that we are locked down. We're not really 100% locked down as people still go out.
No.
people, I mean, the government are allowing the people to go out to buy their food. It's not like you cannot go out of your place. We can go out. I can still go out. If I need to buy something, I go out and come back. So for my understanding, if they say that you are totally locked down, you are already in prison, that you cannot go out. We still have all the liberty to do what we can. We can go shopping online. We can buy things online. So there's no restriction. I mean, much restriction. The government just telling us, okay, we better do this because we are the third country. We don't have the money. We cannot sustain everybody. That's why they're letting this.
Exactly.
That's why it's not right. MACQ right now because they want people to go out and work, right? Because they cannot do anything. Now they're giving out a little help, the ayuda thing, and some areas in NCR are getting crazy of getting the ayuda and all that. But then the thing is, we can do something, and I am appealing to everyone here. Like, if you can afford to help other people who cannot really work, I'm sure you can. And for those people, I know we still have a lot of friends over there that has money. Okay, we are in a pandemic. Okay, we cannot tell them to okay, go, do this, do the business, blah, blah, blah. It's not going to work. We are restricted at some point. We are trying to avoid the crowd. Okay, how can I meet people to have a meeting? We're scared to meet up people now. Even if we have, maybe when we got vaccinated, maybe we can hang out or whatever. But now, at the moment, no. So do what we can as a citizen of this country. We can do this. Just help each other. We can recover. I know we can. As long as we are alive. Keep ourselves alive by just doing the protocol.
So, some words of wisdom from Lolly Tolentino, in which I have listened to, and I hope that a lot of other people have listened to. We are currently running out of time here. We're out of time again this week in the middle of a great discussion. But Lolly, thank you for your words. And thanks to all our listeners out there who wrote in the questions this week. There were some really great questions. I enjoyed the discussion this week. We'll be back again next week here on the World News Jam on DZRJ and RJ TV. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. And we will see everybody next week. And please, everybody, stay safe out there. We'll see you then.